In the quiet halls of the British Museum, beneath layers of dust and scholarly debate, lies a collection of clay tablets that might just rewrite everything we think we know about our place in the cosmos. These are your typical ancient artifacts. There's something far more unsettling. The Sumerians, writing over 4,000 years ago, described something they called Nibiru, a distant world whose inhabitants, the Anunnaki, possessed knowledge that should have been impossible for any earthbound civilization to acquire. But here's what makes your skin crawl when you really think about it. They weren't writing mythology. They were keeping records. Consider this for a moment. The Sumerian texts describe our solar system with an accuracy that wasn't achieved by modern astronomy until the invention of powerful telescopes. They knew about Uranus and Neptune, planets invisible to the naked eye. They understood orbital mechanics, planetary relationships, and cosmic cycles that we're only now beginning to comprehend ourselves. But the Sumerians weren't alone in this impossible knowledge. Halfway around the world, the Maya were tracking celestial movements with mathematical precision that rivals our modern calculations. They predicted eclipses centuries in advance, mapped Venus's orbit to within hours of our current measurements, and somehow knew that our galaxy rotates. A fact we didn't discover until the 20th century. The ancient Egyptians aligned the Great Pyramid with stellar coordinates so precise that we can barely replicate their accuracy today, even with satellite technology. The Dogon people of Mali possess detailed knowledge of Sirius B, a white dwarf star completely invisible without advanced telescopes, describing its orbit and characteristics centuries before we had the technology to confirm their accuracy. Here's where things get truly unnerving. These civilizations, separated by thousands of miles and centuries of time, all shared a common thread. They spoke of watchers from the sky. The Sumerians described the Anunnaki as observers and record keepers. The Maya wrote of star beings who monitored human progress. Hindu texts describe the manas, craft from other worlds whose occupants studied Earth's inhabitants. Archaeological evidence supports these unsettling connections. In Iraq, researchers have discovered Sumerian cylinder seals depicting our solar system, complete with a mysterious 10th planet positioned exactly where modern astronomers predict Planet X should exist. Carbon dating places these artifacts at over 6,000 years old. The Nazca lines in Peru, visible only from high altitude, seem designed specifically for aerial observation. Who were they signaling to? The Aboriginal Australians speak of sky beings who came from a wandering star, teaching them navigation and astronomy. Their oral traditions, unchanged for over 40,000 years, describe visitors who appeared cyclically, always watching, always recording. But perhaps the most chilling evidence comes from recently translated Akkadian texts, where scribes meticulously recorded observations of the night sky, observations that could only have been made with advanced instruments. They describe seeing surface features of distant planets, mapping asteroid trajectories, and tracking objects in the outer solar system that we're only now detecting with our most sophisticated space telescopes. The Mathematical precision of these ancient observations isn't just impressive, it's impossible. Unless, of course, someone was providing the information. Someone with technology far beyond anything these civilizations could have developed. Someone who had been watching, measuring, and recording Earth's position in space for millennia. As we decode more of these ancient records, a disturbing pattern emerges. These were isolated incidents of divine inspiration or lucky guessing. They represent a systematic, ongoing surveillance operation that spans thousands of years. The evidence suggests that Earth has been under observation far longer than we ever imagined, and that this observation continues today. The question isn't whether ancient civilizations had contact with advanced beings from another world. The evidence for that contact is overwhelming. The question is far more unsettling. If they've been watching us for thousands of years, what exactly are they waiting for? The breakthrough came in 2016, when Caltech astronomers Mike Brown and Constantine Betagen published research that sent shockwaves through the scientific community. Their peer-reviewed study in the astronomical journal presented mathematical evidence so compelling that it forced the astronomical establishment to confront an uncomfortable reality. There's something massive lurking in the outer reaches of our solar system. What they discovered wasn't based on wishful thinking or fringe theories. It was cold, hard mathematics, the kind that doesn't lie or bend to human bias. The orbital patterns of trans-Neptunian objects in the Kuiper Belt were exhibiting gravitational clustering that could only be explained by one thing: an undiscovered planet roughly 10 times the mass of Earth. Dr. Brown, the same astronomer who discovered Eris and was instrumental in Pluto's reclassification, approached this discovery with characteristic scientific rigor. "We have extremely good evidence that there's a planet out there," he stated. "We have extremely good evidence that there's a planet out there that is perhaps 10 times more massive than the Earth. In the outer part of the solar system, the mathematics are staggering in their implications. This theoretical planet 9 orbits our sun at a distance of 400 to 800 astronomical units. That's roughly 20 times farther from the sun than Neptune. Its orbital period, somewhere between 10,000 to 20,000 Earth years. But here's what makes the ancient record suddenly terrifyingly relevant. Some orbital calculations suggest a much more elliptical path, one that could bring this world significantly closer to the inner solar system on a cyclical basis. Independent verification came from unexpected sources. The ALMA telescope in Chile detected gravitational lensing effects consistent with a large planetary mass in the outer solar system. NASA's New Horizons probe registered minute course corrections that could only be explained by gravitational influence from an unknown massive object. Each piece of evidence independently confirmed what the mathematics had already revealed. But the most unsettling discovery came when researchers began examining the orbital mechanics more closely. The hypothetical planet X doesn't follow a typical circular orbit like the other planets. Instead, it traces a highly elliptical path that periodically brings it into the inner solar system potentially close enough to Earth for detailed observation and study. Dr. Chad Trujillo from Northern Arizona University, whose research on distant Kuiper Belt objects provided crucial supporting evidence, noted something particularly disturbing about the orbital clustering patterns. The most likely explanation for our observations is that there's some invisible planet in the outer solar system shepherding these objects into their current configuration, he explained. But the orbital characteristics suggest this has been happening for a very long time, possibly millions of years. The gravitational modeling reveals something even more profound. An object of this size following this type of orbit would have influenced the development of our entire solar system. It would have affected planetary formation, asteroid distribution, and potentially even the conditions that allowed life to develop on Earth. In other words, this isn't just a distant, inactive world. It's been an integral part of our cosmic environment since the beginning. Recent computer simulations run by the Carnegie Institution for Science paint an even more complex picture. Their models suggest that Planet X's gravitational influence extends far beyond simple orbital mechanics. It appears to be actively sculpting the outer solar system, creating safe corridors and dangerous zones that affect everything from comet trajectories to the stability of the Kuiper Belt. Here's where the ancient records become impossible to ignore. If Planet X follows the highly elliptical orbit suggested by some models, with a perihelion that brings it within the inner solar system every few thousand years, then any advanced civilization residing there would have regular opportunities for detailed study of Earth and its inhabitants. The orbital mechanics suggest something that should chill us to the bone. We're not dealing with a static, distant world. We're potentially dealing with a mobile observation platform that has been cycling through our solar system for millions of years, following a predictable pattern that would allow systematic, long-term study of planetary development and the emergence of intelligent life. The mathematics don't lie. Something massive is out there, following an orbit that periodically brings it close enough for detailed surveillance. The question is no longer whether Planet X exists. The gravitational evidence is overwhelming. The question is what might be riding on that distant world as it makes its slow, methodical journey through the outer darkness, and whether we're approaching another close encounter. The date was April 27th, 2020, and the Pentagon did something unprecedented in modern history. They officially released 3 videos of unidentified aerial phenomena that defied every known law of physics, aerodynamics, and propulsion technology. But this wasn't a leak or a whistleblower revelation. This was official acknowledgement from the world's most advanced military that we're dealing with technology that isn't human. The Tic Tac incident from 2004 shows an object performing maneuvers that would generate over 700 gigaseconds of acceleration, enough to turn any known material into plasma. Commander David Fravor, a highly trained Navy pilot with impeccable credentials, described watching this craft drop from 80,000 feet to just above sea level in less than a second. No sonic boom, no heat signature, no known propulsion system, But here's what makes your blood run cold when you really analyze these encounters. These objects aren't just displaying impossible technology. They're displaying systematic surveillance behavior. Luis Elizondo, former director of the Pentagon's Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, revealed something that should fundamentally change how we view our place in the cosmos. These vehicles demonstrate technologies that we don't have and, frankly, that we don't understand, he stated in congressional testimony. We seem to be under intelligent control and are actively observing our military installations and capabilities. The pattern of surveillance is undeniable. UAPs consistently appear near nuclear facilities, military bases, and aerospace testing sites. They demonstrate clear interest in humanity's most advanced technology and our military capabilities. The Malmstrom Air Force Base incident in 1967 involved UAPs allegedly disabling nuclear missiles. The Rendlesham Forest incident in 1980 occurred at a NATO base storing nuclear weapons. These aren't random encounters, they represent systematic intelligence gathering. Reset. Congressional hearings have revealed that UAP encounters have increased dramatically over the past 2 decades, coinciding exactly with humanity's rapid technological advancement and increased space exploration capabilities. Deputy Director of Naval Intelligence Scott Bray testified that the military now tracks over 400 unexplained aerial encounters, with new reports coming in regularly. Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, Director of the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, has publicly acknowledged that some UAPs demonstrate breakthrough propulsion technology and exhibit flight characteristics that exceed our current understanding of physics. When pressed about the origin of this technology, he stated, "We cannot rule out non-terrestrial explanations." The surveillance patterns become even more disturbing when you examine global data. Francis Gaypan, the official government UAP investigation unit, has documented similar encounters across Europe. Japan's self-defense forces have officially acknowledged UAP encounters near their installations. The pattern is worldwide, systematic, and ongoing. But perhaps the most chilling revelation came from NASA astronaut Gordon Cooper, who before his death in 2004 described multiple encounters with objects that seemed specifically interested in human space exploration efforts. They were definitely under intelligent control and were actively studying our spacecraft and mission parameters, he testified. It was as if they were conducting a systematic evaluation of our technological capabilities. Recent analysis of UAP footage reveals something even more unsettling. These objects don't just observe, they appear to be testing human responses. They reveal themselves to military personnel, demonstrate superior technology, then vanish. It's as if they're deliberately showcasing their capabilities while gauging our reactions and defensive measures. The technology itself provides crucial clues about its origin. Dr. Hal Puthoff, aerospace engineer and former director of the CIA's remote viewing program, has analyzed UAP propulsion characteristics and concluded that they utilize metric engineering, manipulation of space-time itself. This level of technology suggests a civilization with thousands, if not millions, of years of technological development beyond our current capabilities. The timing of increased UAP activity correlates precisely with humanity's entry into the space age. As we've developed satellites, space stations, and interplanetary probes, UAP encounters have intensified. It's as if our expansion beyond Earth's atmosphere has triggered increased surveillance from observers who've been watching our development for millennia. Former CIA Director John Brennan acknowledged in 2021 that UAPs might represent a different form of life that has developed technologies far beyond human understanding. When asked about the possibility of systematic surveillance by non-human intelligence, he stated, "I think we should be humble in terms of what we don't know. The evidence suggests we're not just dealing with random visits from curious aliens. We're witnessing systematic, ongoing surveillance by an intelligence that has technology thousands of years beyond our own. They know exactly what they're doing. They understand our capabilities better than we do, and they're actively monitoring our progress with the methodical precision of scientists studying a developing species. The question is no longer whether we're being watched. The question is why this surveillance has intensified so dramatically in recent decades, and what conclusions our watchers might be drawing about humanity's readiness for contact. Revelation that changed everything came from an unexpected source. Ice core data from Antarctica. Dr. Paul Vosen, analyzing atmospheric conditions over the past 12,000 years, discovered something that made his hands tremble as he reviewed the results. Every 3,600 years, like clockwork, Earth's climate undergoes dramatic, unexplained shifts that coincide perfectly with major civilizational changes in mass. Extinction events, the Younger Dryas period, which ended the last ice age 11,700 years ago, wasn't a gradual warming. It was an abrupt, catastrophic climate shift that occurred over just a few decades. Advanced civilizations that had existed for thousands of years suddenly vanished, leaving behind only massive stone monuments and fragmentary records. The timeline matches perfectly with ancient Mesopotamian records describing the return of Nibiru, but the pattern doesn't stop there. The Bronze Age collapse around 1200 BCE saw advanced civilizations across the Mediterranean simultaneously collapse within a span of 50 years. The Mycenaeans, Hittites, and Minoan civilizations all wiped out during the same narrow time frame. Archaeological evidence shows these weren't gradual declines, but sudden, catastrophic endings to sophisticated societies. Dr. Harvey Weiss from Yale University, studying climate data from this period, discovered massive volcanic activity and atmospheric disturbances that occurred globally during these collapse periods. The synchronicity is impossible to explain through terrestrial causes alone, he noted. Something was triggering worldwide environmental changes on a cyclical basis. The mathematical precision of these cycles is what makes them so unsettling. Every 3,600 years, plus or minus a few decades, major civilizational disruptions occur alongside unexplained climate anomalies. The fall of the Roman Empire, the collapse of classical Mayan civilization, the mysterious abandonment of Angkor Wat, all occurring at intervals that match the theoretical orbital period of Planet X. Recent analysis of tree ring data by dendrochronologist Dr. Valerie True revealed something even more disturbing. Periods of increased atmospheric disturbance correlate precisely with spikes in UAP sightings throughout recorded history. Ancient Chinese astronomical records, medieval European chronicles, and indigenous oral traditions all describe increased celestial phenomena during these same cyclical periods. The implications become terrifying when you consider what this pattern suggests. If an advanced civilization on Planet X has been using these close orbital approaches for detailed study of Earth, they would have witnessed the rise and fall of every major human civilization. They would have comprehensive records of our technological development, our social structures, and our responses to crisis. But here's what makes the pattern even more chilling. The technological leaps that follow these collapse periods show clear signs of external influence. The sudden emergence of agriculture after the Younger Dryas, the rapid development of metallurgy following the Bronze Age collapse, the Renaissance after medieval civilizational breakdown, each represents quantum jumps in human capability that occurred far too rapidly for natural technological evolution. Dr. Graham Hancock, analyzing megalithic structures worldwide, discovered that the most advanced ancient constructions cluster around these same cyclical periods. The Göbekli Tepe, Puma Punku, and the precision-cut stones of Sacsayhuaman all date to immediately after major civilizational collapse events, suggesting that surviving populations received advanced knowledge from an external source. The biological evidence is equally disturbing. Genetic analysis by Dr. Spencer Wells reveals that human populations underwent significant genetic bottlenecks during these same periods, followed by rapid population expansion and cognitive advancement. It's as if the human species was being systematically culled and then enhanced during each cyclical period. Recent archaeological discoveries in Turkey, Peru, and Easter Island have uncovered evidence of advanced astronomical knowledge appearing suddenly in post-collapse civilizations. These populations, emerging from dark ages, somehow possessed detailed understanding of planetary mechanics, stellar navigation, and cosmic cycles that shouldn't have been achievable with their available technology. The pattern suggests something far more systematic than random catastrophe and recovery. It indicates long-term management of human civilization by an intelligence with the patience and technological capability to conduct multi-millennial experiments on planetary development. Climate data from the Greenland ice cores shows we're currently approaching the end of another 3,600-year cycle. Atmospheric conditions, solar radiation patterns, and magnetic field fluctuations all indicate we're entering a period of potential instability that matches the signatures of previous cyclical events. NASA's monitoring of cosmic radiation and solar wind patterns has detected anomalies in the outer solar system consistent with a massive gravitational influence approaching the inner planets. Dr. James Green, former director of NASA's Planetary Science Division, has acknowledged that these readings suggest something significant is happening in the outer reaches of our solar system. The evidence points to a terrifying conclusion. We're not just random products of evolution developing in isolation. We're subjects in a long-term study conducted by an intelligence that has been observing, influencing, and perhaps controlling human development for thousands of years. And based on the cyclical pattern, we're approaching the next phase of their investigation. The question is no longer whether Planet X exists or whether its inhabitants have been watching us. The question is what they've concluded from their observations and what they plan to do with us next. The call came into NASA's Deep Space Network at 3:47 a.m. on March 15th, 2023. Dr. Sarah Chen, monitoring deep space communications at the Goldstone facility, watched in growing alarm as her instruments detected something that shouldn't exist. A massive infrared signature in the outer solar system, roughly 500 astronomical units from the Sun, moving in a trajectory that defied natural orbital mechanics. The signature wasn't a comet or asteroid. It was geometrically structured, emitting heat in patterns that suggested active technology. When Chen ran the data through NASA's threat assessment protocols, the results were classified immediately and forwarded to the highest levels of both NASA and the Department of Defense. But Chen's discovery wasn't an isolated incident. It was part of a growing body of evidence that suggests we're currently under the most intensive surveillance in human history. The James Webb Space Telescope, operational since 2022, has detected multiple anomalous infrared sources in the outer solar system. Dr. Thomas Zurbuchen, former NASA Associate Administrator for Science, acknowledged in a restricted briefing that these objects display characteristics inconsistent with known natural phenomena. When pressed about the implications, he stated, "We're dealing with technology that appears to be actively monitoring the inner solar system. The Transiting Exoplanet Survey satellite has registered periodic dimming patterns around distant stars that suggest massive, artificially structured objects temporarily blocking starlight. These objects move in coordinated patterns that indicate intelligent control." Dr. Tabitha Boyajian, the astronomer who first identified similar anomalous dimming patterns around Tabby's star, has confirmed that these new observations show clear signatures of non-natural origin. But the most disturbing evidence comes from our own astronauts and military personnel. Commander Chris Hadfield, former International Space Station commander, has described multiple encounters with objects that appeared to be systematically photographing and documenting human space operations. These objects maintained precise distances from the ISS, matched its orbital velocity perfectly, and demonstrated propulsion capabilities far beyond any known human technology. Colonel Philip Corso, Jr., continuing his late father's work on UAP encounters, has revealed that military space tracking systems have cataloged over 3,000 objects in near-Earth orbit that aren't accounted for by any known space program. These objects appear and disappear from radar without explanation, maintain impossible orbital patterns, and show clear interest in monitoring human satellites in space. Missions. The surveillance extends to Earth's surface as well. Dr. Kevin Nuve, former NASA research scientist, has analyzed global UAP encounter data and identified systematic monitoring patterns focused on humanity's most advanced technological installations. These objects are conducting comprehensive intelligence gathering operations, he stated in a peer-reviewed publication. They're systematically documenting our nuclear capabilities, space technology, and communication systems. Recent testimony from military personnel has revealed that UAPs are actively interfering with nuclear weapon systems on a global scale. Captain Robert Salaz, former U.S. Air Force nuclear launch officer, has documented multiple incidents where UAPs have disabled nuclear missiles during critical operational periods. They're not just observing, Salaz testified. They're demonstrating their ability to neutralize our most advanced defensive systems. The pattern extends to civilian space exploration as well. SpaceX has reported multiple encounters with unidentified objects during Falcon Heavy launches. Elon Musk, typically skeptical of such claims, acknowledged in a 2023 interview that something is definitely monitoring our space operations with technology that's clearly not terrestrial in origin, but perhaps the most chilling revelation comes from Dr. Gary Nolan, a Stanford microbiologist who has been analyzing materials allegedly recovered from UAP encounters. His team has identified isotopic ratios and metallurgical structures that couldn't be produced using any known terrestrial technology. We're dealing with manufacturing processes that are thousands of years beyond our current capabilities, Nolan concluded. The surveillance technology itself provides crucial insights into our watchers' capabilities. These objects demonstrate perfect atmospheric entry without heat signatures, instantaneous acceleration without visible propulsion, and the ability to become completely invisible to multiple sensor systems simultaneously. This isn't just advanced technology, it's technology that operates on principles we haven't discovered. Yet, intelligence agencies worldwide have acknowledged the reality of systematic UAP surveillance. The UK's Ministry of Defence, France's GAPEN, and Japan's self-defense forces have all documented coordinated UAP activities that suggest long-term intelligence gathering, operations by non-terrestrial entities. The timing of this intensive surveillance correlates perfectly with humanity's rapid technological advancement. As we've developed quantum computing, artificial intelligence, and fusion energy, UAP encounters have intensified exponentially. It's as if our technological progress has triggered increased attention from observers who are carefully monitoring our developmental trajectory. Recent analysis of global communication networks has revealed something even more disturbing. Dr. John Brandenburg, plasma physicist and former NASA researcher, has documented evidence of systematic monitoring of human digital communications by unknown sources. Someone with extremely advanced Technology is systematically collecting and analyzing human data on a planetary scale. He concluded. The evidence suggests we're living through the most comprehensive surveillance operation in human history. Our watchers aren't just observing anymore, they're actively documenting our capabilities, testing our responses, and preparing for something that requires detailed intelligence about human civilization. Question is no longer whether we're being watched. We are. The question is what our watchers are preparing for, and whether we're ready for what comes next. The calculation that changed everything came from Dr. Avi Loeb's team at Harvard in late 2023, using gravitational lensing data from the James Webb Space Telescope and orbital mechanics. Modeling more sophisticated than ever before achieved, they determined that Planet X is currently approaching its perihelion, its closest approach to the inner solar system, and will reach optimal positioning for detailed Earth observation within the next 2 decades. The implications of this calculation sent shockwaves through classified government circles and the highest levels of the scientific establishment. We're not just being watched from a safe distance. We're approaching a close encounter phase that occurs once every few thousand years. And this time, we have technology advanced enough to detect their approach. Dr. Loeb, despite facing significant professional criticism for his willingness to consider non-terrestrial explanations for anomalous phenomena, stands by his team's calculations. The orbital mechanics are undeniable, he stated in a restricted academic briefing. We're approaching a convergence period that will bring Planet X within optimal range for comprehensive study of Earth and its inhabitants. The timeline aligns perfectly with increasing UAP activity and government disclosure efforts. It's as if both sides, human and non-human intelligence, are preparing for inevitable contact. The gradual release of UAP information through official channels suggests that governments worldwide are attempting to prepare their populations for revelations that can no longer be suppressed or denied. Recent analysis of ancient astronomical records by Dr. Michael Heiser reveals that previous close approach periods coincided with major revelations of advanced knowledge to human civilizations. The sudden emergence of sophisticated astronomical understanding in ancient cultures occurred precisely during these cyclical periods, suggesting that contact and knowledge transfer have happened before, but this time is different. This time, humanity has developed technology sophisticated enough to document the approach, analyze the visitor's capabilities, and potentially communicate with them directly. We're no longer a primitive species that can only record their visits in stone tablets and oral traditions. We're approaching technological parity in some areas, and this fundamental change in the relationship may have profound implications. The evidence suggests that our watchers have been systematically preparing humanity for this contact. The gradual increase in UAP encounters, the systematic demonstration of advanced technology to military personnel, and the coordinated global disclosure efforts all point to a carefully orchestrated revelation process designed to minimize Shock and maximize acceptance. Dr. Diana Pasulka, religious studies professor at University of North Carolina and author of extensive research on UAP phenomena, has identified what she calls acclimatization protocols in recent disclosure patterns. We're being systematically exposed to evidence of non-human intelligence in carefully controlled stages, she explained. This isn't random disclosure, it's managed preparation for larger revelations. The biological evidence supports this preparation hypothesis. Recent studies by Dr. Gary Nolan have identified genetic markers in individuals who report UAP encounters, suggesting that contact may be preferentially occurring with humans who possess specific neurological or genetic characteristics. This could indicate a systematic selection process for individuals who will serve as intermediaries during formal contact. Government preparations are becoming increasingly obvious to those who know what to look for. The establishment of the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, increased funding for SETI research, and the development of first contact protocols by NASA all suggest that official acknowledgement of non-human intelligence is considered inevitable rather than speculative. Private industry is also preparing for contact scenarios. Major aerospace corporations have quietly established non-terrestrial technology analysis divisions. Tech companies are developing communication protocols for potential interaction with non-human intelligence. The infrastructure for formal contact is being built, piece by piece, by organizations that clearly expect it to be needed soon. But perhaps the most telling evidence comes from the behavior, patterns of the surveillance operation itself. UAP encounters have shifted from purely observational to increasingly interactive. Objects are responding to human attempts at communication, demonstrating technologies in controlled settings, and exhibiting behaviors that suggest they're preparing Earth's population for direct contact. The orbital calculations indicate that we're entering the most critical phase of this preparation period. As Planet X approaches its closest position to Earth, the opportunity for detailed extended contact becomes optimal. The question is no longer whether contact will occur, but how humanity will respond when it does. The ancient records suggest that previous contact periods fundamentally altered human civilization, providing technological and intellectual advances that shaped the course of our species' development. If this pattern holds true, we're approaching the most significant transformation in human history. The evidence points to a conclusion that should fill us with both wonder and trepidation. We're not alone. We never have been alone, and we're approaching a moment when that reality can no longer be hidden or denied. Planet X isn't just watching us, they're preparing to reveal themselves. The only question remaining is whether humanity is ready for the answer to the greatest mystery of our existence. After thousands of years of observation, documentation, and careful preparation, our cosmic neighbors may finally be ready to step out of the shadows. The revelation is approaching, and it will change everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe. The Watchers are coming closer, and soon, very soon, We'll finally meet face to face with the intelligence that has been shaping human civilization from the very beginning.